Before we dive in, a quick heads up. This presentation is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial or business advice. I am not affiliated with Perplexity AI, and this is a completely independent review based on my own extensive research and testing of enterprise-grade AI tools. My sole mission is to give you the unvarnished truth, so you can make the best decision for your organization. Picture this. It's 4 o'clock on a Friday. You're just starting to think about the weekend when your boss drops a bombshell project on your desk. A new competitor just launched, and they need a full-scale analysis by Monday morning. They want to know everything: their funding history, their key executives, their core technology stack, a summary of their last 2 earnings calls, and an analysis of the new federal regulations that might impact their go-to-market strategy. Your stomach sinks. You know exactly what this means. Your weekend is gone. It's going to be a chaotic 48-hour scavenger hunt across a wasteland of browser tabs. You'll be sifting through biased tech blogs, trying to decipher a 150-page SEC filing, battling paywalls on industry reports, and praying that the random market size statistic you found on a 3-year-old forum post is even remotely accurate. We have all lived this corporate nightmare. It's the single biggest time suck in modern business. The hunt for reliable information. Now imagine a different scenario. Same Friday, same bombshell project. But instead of opening 30 browser tabs, you open one. You type in a simple, direct question. Provide a comprehensive competitive analysis of our new competitor, company name, including their funding, leadership, tech stack, a summary of their last 2 earnings calls, and an analysis of recent federal regulations affecting their industry. You hit enter, and in less than 5 minutes, you get back a perfectly structured multi-page report. It's written in clear business language. Every single claim, every single number, is directly linked to its source, the actual SEC filing, the press release, the government website. The entire weekend-destroying project is done. Not just done, but done better, more accurately, and with a complete audit trail of every piece of data. You're not just finished by 4:30 p.m., you're a hero. This isn't science fiction. This is the core promise of a new class of AI that's quietly infiltrating the most competitive companies in America. And at the forefront of this revolution is a tool called Perplexity Enterprise Pro. So what are we going to do here today? We are going to answer the single most important question for any forward-thinking American business right now. Is this tool the real deal? Is Perplexity Enterprise Pro truly the ultimate AI solution for your company? Or is it just another overhyped piece of tech? This isn't just another AI review. We're going to go deep. We'll break down exactly what it is, how it's fundamentally different from the chat-based AIs you've been playing with, and why it poses a direct threat to the way we've used Google for the last 20 years. My promise to you is this. By the end of this video, you will have a rock-solid, crystal-clear understanding of this platform's capabilities, its security, its pricing, and its potential return on investment. You will know without a doubt whether it's the right move for your team, your department, or your entire company. Let's be brutally honest for a second. The way we work is broken. A McKinsey study found that the average knowledge worker in the United States spends nearly 20% of their work week. That's 1 full day out of 5, just looking for internal information and tracking down colleagues who can help with specific tasks. Another report from IDC shows that the inability to find the right information costs a company with 1,000 employees a staggering $5.7 million per year in lost productivity. That's not a small leak. That's a fire hose of cash draining from your bottom line. All because your team is stuck in the endless, frustrating loop of search, click, read, get disappointed, and search again. We've tried to solve this with more software, more subscriptions, more databases, but we're just creating more silos. The problem isn't a lack of information. It's a crisis of access and synthesis. And this is where most companies are making a critical mistake right now. They see the AI hype, they hear about ChatGPT, and they think the answer is to just plug a generic chatbot into their workflow. But that's like trying to fix a leaky pipe with a Band-Aid. Consumer-grade chatbots, for all their magic, were not built for the rigorous demands of American enterprise. They have 3 fatal flaws. First, they often hallucinate, meaning they confidently make things up. In a business context, a single hallucinated statistic in a report can lead to a disastrous decision. Second, their knowledge is often outdated, stuck in the past, unable to tell you what happened in the market this morning. And third, and most terrifying for any CTO or general counsel, is the security risk. Where is your proprietary data going when your employees are pasting sensitive information into a free public tool? It's a compliance nightmare waiting to happen. This is the exact gap Perplexity Enterprise Pro claims to fill. It doesn't call itself a chatbot. It doesn't even call itself a search engine. It calls itself an answer engine. The distinction is critical. A search engine gives you a list of 10 blue links and says, "Good luck. The answer is in one of these. Maybe." An answer engine does the work for you. It scours the web, reads the documents, analyzes the data, and gives you a direct, synthesized answer, complete with citations that prove where it got the information. It's the difference between being handed a library card and being handed a finished research paper with a full bibliography. The Enterprise Pro version takes this a step further, aiming squarely at the heart of corporate America. It promises enterprise-grade security with SOC2 Compliance, ensuring your data stays your data. It promises the ability to upload your own documents, your PDFs, your spreadsheets, your internal reports, and have the AI search across your company's private knowledge base alongside the public web. It promises user management, single sign-on, and a host of other features designed to make IT departments breathe a sigh of relief. This is a tool built not for writing poems or planning vacations, but for accelerating research, generating market intelligence, and ultimately, making faster, more profitable decisions. It's a bold claim. In a market flooded with AI solutions all screaming for your attention, Perplexity is essentially saying they've built the one tool that solves the most expensive problem in business. So throughout this deep dive, we're going to put those claims to the test. We're not just going to look at the marketing slicks. We're going to get our hands dirty. We'll run real-world business queries and compare its answers side by side with Google and ChatGPT. We'll scrutinize its security architecture. We'll analyze the quality and accuracy of its citations, because an answer without a source is just an opinion. We'll explore its unique focus modes that let you target searches to specific domains like academic papers, financial data, or legal documents. And of course, we will talk about the price. What does it actually cost per seat? And how can you calculate the potential ROI to justify that cost to your CFO? We'll cover the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are its current limitations? Where does it still fall short? And what is the one hidden feature that could be a complete game changer for your team's productivity? Let's begin with the foundational question that everything else is built upon. What, precisely, is an answer engine? And how does its underlying technology give it an edge in the high-stakes world of corporate intelligence? Understanding this is the key to understanding its entire value proposition. At its core, an answer engine is a fundamental reimagining of what we do when we seek information. For the last 25 years, we've been trained by traditional search engines. We've become experts at typing in keywords, getting back a list of 10 blue links, and then beginning the real work. The search engine's job was to be a librarian. It didn't give you the answer. It pointed you to the section of the library where the answer might be hiding. You'd ask, what are the current SEC regulations regarding AI disclosure for publicly traded companies? And the librarian would say, you'll want to check the aisle for government websites, the shelf with legal analysis blogs, and maybe that pile of recent financial news over there. Good luck. The responsibility to read, compare, synthesize, and ultimately formulate an answer was entirely on you. An answer engine like Perplexity operates on a completely different premise. It's not a librarian. It's a dedicated world-class research analyst. You ask the exact same question. Instead of pointing you to the aisle, this analyst sprints into the stacks, pulls every relevant document in seconds, the actual SEC filings, the analysis from top law firms, the commentary from the Wall Street Journal, reads all of them, understands the nuances, cross-references the key points, and returns to your desk. It doesn't hand you a stack of books. It hands you a single, concise executive summary. It says, here are the 3 key regulations you need to be aware of, here's the recent precedent from a landmark case, and here's what leading legal experts are advising. And by the way, here are the footnotes for every single fact I just gave you, so you can verify it yourself. That's the philosophical difference. It's the shift from a tool that provides links to a tool that provides answers. It aims to eliminate the manual, time-consuming labor of sifting through information, a task that consumes an astonishing percentage of the modern knowledge worker's day. And the way it achieves this isn't magic. It's a powerful and elegant 2-step technological process that sets it apart from a standard large language model, or LLM, like the ones that took the world by storm. The first, and arguably most critical, step is retrieval. When you ask Perplexity a question, its first action isn't to think. It's to search. It performs a comprehensive, real-time crawl of the internet for information relevant to your query. This is not a search of some static, outdated training dataset from a year ago. This is a live look at the internet as it exists right now. This means it can tell you about a market-moving event that happened 5 minutes ago, a new piece of legislation passed this morning, or the latest data from a scientific paper published overnight. It breaks free from the knowledge cutoff prison that plagues so many other AI systems. It's always current. Only after it has retrieved this fresh, relevant, and diverse set of source materials does the second step begin generation. This is where the power of a sophisticated large language model comes into play. Perplexity feeds all that retrieved data, the articles, the reports, the studies, the data tables, into its AI brain. The LLM's job is not to invent an answer from its general knowledge, but to act as a master synthesizer. It reads and comprehends the provided sources, identifies the primary arguments, extracts the key data points, and then formulates a coherent, well-written answer based exclusively on the information it just found. This retrieval-then-generate model is the secret sauce. It's a system of checks and balances. The retrieval step grounds the AI in reality and current events, while the generation step provides the fluency and intelligence to turn that raw data into useful knowledge. And the masterstroke is that it never forgets its sources. Every sentence it generates is invisibly linked back to the specific piece of data it came from. That's how it can produce those numbered citations next to its claims. It's not just giving you an answer, it's showing you its work. So, how does this technological foundation give it a killer edge for American companies? The advantages are not trivial. They strike at the heart of corporate efficiency, accuracy, and innovation. First, there's the radical compression of time. Think about a standard competitive analysis task. A marketing manager needs to understand a new competitor's go-to-market strategy. The old way, a junior analyst spends a full day, maybe two, scouring the web. They're reading the competitors' press releases, digging through their blog, trying to find interviews with their CEO, looking at their job postings to infer their strategy, and searching for third-party reviews. It's an 8 to 16-hour slog of clicking, reading, and copy-pasting into a PowerPoint deck. With an answer engine, that same manager can type in a prompt like, provide a detailed analysis of competitor X's go-to-market strategy, focusing on their target customer profile, pricing model, and key marketing channels, using information from the last 6 months. 30 seconds later, a comprehensive, synthesized report appears with citations. That's not a 10% improvement. It's a 100x improvement. The analyst who was freed up from that task can now spend their time on higher-level strategic thinking, not manual data collection. The time to insight is reduced from days to seconds. Second, and for many businesses even more important, is the issue of trust and accuracy. The biggest fear holding back corporate AI adoption is the hallucination problem. An AI confidently stating something that is completely false. A standard LLM, asked about a company's quarterly earnings, might accidentally invent a number because its training data is a fuzzy, statistical soup of information. A decision made on that false number could be catastrophic, leading to bad investments, compliance failures, or strategic blunders. Perplexity's citation-first model is the antidote to this. Because every claim is tied to a source, you can instantly verify its validity. If it says a company's revenue was $50 million, you can click the citation and see the official press release that states it. This transforms the AI from a creative but unreliable intern into a dependable research tool. For a company's legal department researching case law, or its R&D team reviewing technical papers, or its finance team tracking market data, this verifiability isn't just a feature. It is the entire foundation of trust. It's the difference between a tool you can play with and a tool you can run a business on. Finally, this model provides a depth of synthesized insight that is difficult for a human to replicate quickly. A human researcher might find 3 great articles about a new manufacturing technology, but an answer engine can scan 50 articles in the time it takes to read one. In doing so, it can spot the patterns and connections that a human might miss. It might notice that a technical paper from a university in Germany, a financial analyst report from New York, and a supply chain blog from Singapore are all subtly pointing to the same emerging trend. It can then weave these disparate sources into a single powerful insight. The new manufacturing technology is gaining traction, but its adoption is currently bottlenecked by a specific rare earth mineral shortage reported by Asian suppliers, a risk factor Wall Street has just begun to price in. That's not just information retrieval. That is the genesis of true corporate intelligence. This core engine, this relentless focus on providing sourced, synthesized, and up-to-date answers, is the bedrock. But it's what Perplexity builds on top of this foundation specifically for the enterprise that starts to reveal its true potential as a business-critical tool. The features available in the Enterprise Pro version are not just cosmetic upgrades. They are targeted enhancements designed to solve the specific, high-stakes challenges faced by American companies every single day. And that's where the real story begins. Let's imagine a scenario. It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday at a mid-sized American tech company. Let's call them Innovate Corp. The marketing team is gathered for their weekly sync when the news breaks. Their main competitor, a ruthless, fast-moving rival, has just launched a new product. It's a surprise attack. It's sleek, it's aggressively priced, and it targets Innovate Corp's most profitable customer segment. The air in the room turns cold. Panic starts to bubble. The CEO wants a full competitive analysis and a proposed counter-strategy on his desk by end of day. Yodi. Now think about the old way of doing this. What happens next is a chaotic scramble. The marketing lead, Sarah, starts frantically Googling. She's buried in a deluge of tech blogs, sponsored articles that are basically just ads for the competitor, and a dozen press releases all saying the same thing. She has 20 tabs open, and none of them are giving her the raw, unbiased truth. Meanwhile, the product manager, David, is trying to find technical specs. He's digging through obscure forums and trying to decipher marketing jargon to understand the actual technology under the hood. The data analyst, Maria, is tasked with finding early market reaction. She's scraping Twitter, Reddit, and LinkedIn, trying to separate genuine customer feedback from astroturfed hype. They're all working in silos. They're all drowning in low-quality information. By 3 p.m., they'll meet in a conference room, armed with conflicting data points and a whole lot of stress, trying to stitch together a coherent strategy from digital noise. The risk of making a catastrophic decision based on incomplete or biased information is sky-high. This isn't a hypothetical. This is the daily reality for thousands of American businesses. It's a battle fought with blunt instruments against a fast-moving enemy. But at our imaginary Innovate Corp, today is different. They have Perplexity Enterprise Pro. Instead of that chaotic scramble, Sarah, the marketing lead, does something else. She opens a single, clean interface. First, she takes the half-dozen internal reports they already have on this competitor, previous analyses, sales team feedback, a market share report from last quarter, and uploads them all directly into Perplexity. With Enterprise Pro, there's no limit. She uploads PDFs, Word docs, even raw text files. The AI now has their internal context. It knows what they know. Then she asks a simple, powerful question. Based on our internal documents and real-time web data, what are the top 5 strategic weaknesses of competitor X's new product launch? And this is where the magic happens. Perplexity doesn't just Google it. It activates a multi-pronged search across the entire live internet. It scans the official press release, yes, but it also scans the critical review from The Verge, the skeptical analysis from a well-respected industry newsletter, and the financial filing the competitor submitted last week. It's not just pulling keywords, it's understanding sentiment, context, and credibility. And crucially, every single piece of information it provides is footnoted. Sarah can click citation number 3 and see the exact paragraph from the tech review that questions the product's battery life. She can click citation 5 and see the financial analyst report that flags the high cost of their new components, suggesting thin profit margins. Suddenly, the fog of war begins to lift. Instead of 20 browser tabs of questionable value, she has a synthesized intelligence briefing, backed by verifiable sources. Meanwhile, David, the product manager, uses the academic focus mode. He asks, what recent peer-reviewed papers exist on the specific micro-LED technology used in competitor X's display? He's not getting blog posts. He's getting direct links to research papers from IEEE and ACM Digital Library, allowing him to instantly assess if the competitor's tech is a genuine breakthrough or a rebranding of existing technology. He finds a paper detailing the manufacturing challenges of that exact tech, giving Innovate Corp a potential angle to exploit. And Maria, the data analyst? She uses a finely tuned query, summarize real user sentiment on Twitter and Reddit regarding the onboarding process for competitor X's new product, excluding promotional tweets from influencers. The AI sifts through the noise and identifies a recurring thread of confusion around the setup process. It's a small detail, but in the world of product marketing, it's gold. It's a pain point, a crack in the armor. By 1 p.m., just a few hours after the initial panic, the team reconvenes. But this time, the mood is different. It's calm, it's focused. They're not arguing over conflicting data. They're building on a shared, verified foundation of intelligence. They use the platform's collaborative spaces feature to organize their findings. Sarah has the market positioning weaknesses, David has the technical limitations, and Maria has the early user friction points. They use the AI as a brainstorming partner. Okay, Perplexity, Sarah types. Based on these 3 weaknesses, draft 5 potential taglines for a counter-marketing campaign that emphasizes our product's reliability and ease of use. Instantly, it generates 5 distinct, high-quality options. They're not perfect, but they're a starting point that's 90% of the way there. It would have taken their ad agency 2 days to come up with something similar. By 4 p.m., they have a comprehensive, multi-page strategy document, complete with cited sources, market analysis, technical teardown, and a proposed marketing counterpunch. It's not just a reaction. It's a brilliant, data-driven plan. And it's on the CEO's desk with an hour to spare. This isn't just about making work faster. This is about elevating the quality of work. It's about increasing what the consulting world calls decision velocity, the speed and accuracy with which an organization can make critical choices. In the hyper-competitive American market, the company that can consistently make smarter decisions faster is the company that wins. This tool transforms a team from information scavengers into intelligence analysts. But as Sarah was uploading those sensitive internal reports, a critical question should have been flashing in your mind. Is it safe? What happens to that data? We've all heard the horror stories of employees pasting confidential code or strategic plans into public AI models, only for that data to be absorbed and potentially regurgitated for another user. It's a CIO's nightmare and a massive security risk. This is arguably the single most important differentiator for Perplexity Enterprise Pro. It's built on a foundation of trust. The platform is SOC2 Compliant, which is a gold standard certification in the tech world. It means they've undergone rigorous, independent audits of their security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy controls. For the user, it means one simple, crucial thing: your data is not used to train their models. Period. The conversation you have, the documents you upload, it's sandboxed to your organization. It's private. It's secure. That's why Sarah could upload those internal reports without a second thought. She was operating within a secure, enterprise-grade environment, not a consumer-facing toy. This commitment to data privacy isn't just a feature. It's the price of admission for any serious American company looking to leverage AI. Without it, the risk is simply too great. So we have this incredibly powerful secure research engine. It can ingest internal data, scour the live web for verified facts, and help a team turn a crisis into an opportunity in a matter of hours. It's a massive leap forward. But what good is a powerful engine if it's stuck in a silo? How does this intelligence actually get integrated into the hundreds of other applications and complex workflows that make up a modern corporation? The answer involves something called API credits, and it fundamentally changes the game from a standalone tool into a true, integrated intelligence layer for the entire organization. So let's break this down. API stands for Application Programming Interface. I know, your eyes are already glazing over. But stick with me because this is the single most important concept to understand. Forget the jargon. Think of it like this. A regular Perplexity Pro subscription is like giving an employee a key to a massive, all-knowing library. They can go in, ask any question, and get a brilliant, well-sourced answer. That's powerful. But API credits? That's completely different. That's like being given the master key to the library's entire cataloging system and a team of infinitely fast librarians. You're no longer just sending one person in to ask a question. You're now able to programmatically send in thousands of questions from other applications, other software, other workflows, and have the answers automatically piped back to wherever they're needed. The API credits are the currency you use to pay those super-fast librarians for each task they perform. It stops being about one person, one search bar. It becomes about the entire organization's digital infrastructure, being able to tap into this source of knowledge on demand. This solves one of the biggest problems in corporate America: the problem of digital islands. Your company's most valuable information is likely scattered across a dozen different platforms. You have your customer data in Salesforce, your internal project plans in Jira, your company policies in SharePoint, your marketing assets in a digital asset manager, and your team's conversations locked away in Slack or Microsoft Teams. Each one is a separate island. Getting them to talk to each other is a nightmare. And finding information across them is even worse. An employee might have to search for different systems just to answer a single complex customer question. It's a colossal waste of time and energy. This is where Perplexity's API strategy becomes so brilliant. It's not trying to replace Salesforce or SharePoint. It's offering to be the intelligent bridge between them, and between all of them and the outside world. Let's get concrete. Imagine your company's internal wiki or knowledge base. Let's say you use Confluence. Right now, when an employee searches for our Q3 marketing strategy for the new product launch, they get a list of 10 confusingly named documents. They have to click each one, skim it, and pray they find the right paragraph. It's slow and inefficient. Now let's integrate Perplexity via its API. You can build a new, smarter search bar right into your Confluence. The employee asks the same question in plain English. But now, Perplexity doesn't just search file names. It reads and understands the content of every single document. And it doesn't stop there. It also simultaneously scours the live internet for competitor strategies, recent market analysis reports, and news articles about similar product launches. In seconds, it delivers a single synthesized paragraph that says, "Our Q3 strategy, detailed in the Project Phoenix launch plan document, focuses on social media influencers and targeted digital ads." This aligns with recent market trends showing a decline in traditional media engagement, as reported by Adweek. For reference, our main competitor, Acme Corp, had a similar successful launch last year, which was analyzed in this Forbes article. Do you see what just happened? The answer wasn't just found, it was created. It blended internal proprietary knowledge with external real-time context. It provided a direct link to the internal document and the external articles for verification. The amount of human labor that was just saved is staggering. The quality of the decision that employee can now make is orders of magnitude higher. That single query used a small number of API credits, and the return on investment was immediate. Let's take another example. Customer support. Your support team lives and dies by its knowledge base. But when a new product feature is released or a sudden outage occurs, the knowledge base is instantly out of date. Customers start asking questions that your support chatbot, and even your human agents, don't have the answers to. The result is frustration and long wait times. With the Perplexity API, you can build a customer support bot that is never out of date. It can be programmed to continuously read your company's official blog, your engineering team's release notes, and even your public status page. When a customer asks, "Hey, I'm seeing an error with the new checkout feature you just announced," the bot doesn't just say, "I don't understand." It accesses the blog post announcing the feature, cross-references it with live bug reports, and provides a helpful up-to-the-minute answer like, "We're aware of a temporary issue affecting a small number of users with the new feature, as noted on our status page here. Our engineering team is deploying a fix, and we expect a full resolution within the next 30 minutes. In the meantime, you can use the classic checkout method by following these steps." That is not a chatbot. That is a world-class, real-time problem-solving machine. It turns a potential customer crisis into a moment of trust and transparency. The power of this API approach goes beyond just searching for information. It's about automating intelligence. Think of a financial analyst who has to create a weekly report on market sentiment for your company's stock. This usually involves hours of manually scouring financial news sites, social media, and analyst reports. It's tedious, repetitive work. Using the API, you could create a simple automated workflow. Every Friday afternoon, a script sends a series of complex queries to Perplexity. Summarize all news articles published this week mentioning our stock ticker. Analyze the overall sentiment of Twitter posts about our CEO in the last 7 days. Identify any new analyst ratings or price targets from major investment banks. Perplexity performs the research, synthesizes the findings, and can even format it into a preliminary report, complete with sources. The analyst's job is transformed. They are no longer a data gatherer. They are a data interpreter, using their human expertise to analyze the finished report and provide strategic recommendations. Now, a skeptic might ask, can't I just do this with OpenAI's GPT-4 API or Google's Gemini? And the answer is, not in the same way and not with the same level of trust. This is the absolute key differentiator for Perplexity in the enterprise space. General-purpose large language models are phenomenal at generating creative text, summarizing documents you feed them, and brainstorming ideas. But they are not, by their core design, search engines or truth finders. They can and do hallucinate facts, especially about recent events. You cannot run a business on information that might be confidently made up. Perplexity, on the other hand, was built from the ground up as an answer engine. Its fundamental architecture is designed to find, validate, and cite information from the live web. Its obsession with providing sources isn't just a nice feature. It's a core philosophical and technical commitment. For a legal team doing discovery, a finance team performing due diligence, or a marketing team doing competitor analysis, the ability to click a link and verify the source of every single claim is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable requirement. This grounding in verifiable reality is Perplexity's enterprise superpower. So when you buy Perplexity Enterprise Pro, you're not just buying a faster search engine for your employees. You're buying a massive pool of verifiable on-demand intelligence that can be programmatically woven into the fabric of your entire operation. It changes the economic model from a simple per-employee subscription to a flexible, scalable utility. You pay for the intelligence you consume, whether it's by a person or by an automated process. This allows a company to start small, perhaps by supercharging their internet search, and then scale up to build dozens of complex, AI-powered applications without having to renegotiate a massive contract. We've established the technical foundation. We've seen how this API-first approach transforms a tool into a platform. It's the central nervous system that can connect all those isolated digital islands. But what does this actually feel like for the people on the front lines? For the marketing manager staring down a campaign deadline, or the financial analyst buried in spreadsheets, or the software developer trying to debug a complex piece of code? The technology is one thing, but the human impact is another. Because when you give this kind of power directly to your team, the results aren't just incremental improvements. They are a fundamental reimagining of what it means to be productive. Let's make this concrete. Imagine a mid-sized manufacturing company, we'll call them Apex Dynamics, based out of Ohio. They build highly specialized components for the aerospace industry. Their R&D team is brilliant, but they're constantly hitting a wall. Not a wall of innovation, but a wall of information. Their process for developing a new composite material used to look something like this. A junior engineer would spend 3 weeks, maybe a month, buried in academic journals, patent databases, and supplier websites. They'd compile a 50-page report full of dense, jargon-laden text, which would then land on a senior engineer's desk. That senior engineer, already swamped, would take another week to read it, try to synthesize the key findings, and inevitably have more questions, sending the junior engineer back to the drawing board. The cycle was slow, inefficient, and demoralizing. The opportunity cost was massive. While they were stuck in the library, their global competitors were moving at the speed of light. Now let's give that same team Perplexity Enterprise Pro. The senior engineer, instead of delegating a month-long research project, now opens a new collection. He calls it Project Phoenix Next Gen Composites. He uploads their own internal research papers on previous material failures, a few key competitor patents he's been watching, and a market analysis report from last quarter. He then types a single, precise prompt. Based on the uploaded documents and the latest publicly available academic research from the last 24 months, identify the top 3 most promising polymer resin systems for improving the thermal resistance of carbon fiber composites, and provide a cited summary of the pros and cons for each. Instead of waiting a month, he gets a clear, structured, and fully cited answer in about 30 seconds. He can see the sources right there. A paper from MIT, a new patent filing from a German rival, a technical spec sheet from a chemical supplier. He can click and verify everything. He shares the collection with his junior engineer, who can now spend his time not on grunt work, but on higher value tasks. Cross-referencing the AI's findings, setting up experiments based on the most promising option, and actually innovating. The entire discovery phase of their R&D cycle just compressed from 6 weeks down to a single afternoon. That isn't an incremental improvement. That is a total paradigm shift. It's the difference between building a horse-drawn carriage and engineering a supersonic jet. This is the core value proposition that American companies need to understand. We're not talking about a slightly better Google. We are talking about a tool that fundamentally changes the relationship between your employees and the world's information. Let's break down exactly how this works in different departments, because the impact is felt across the entire organization. Take your marketing team. They're tasked with launching a new software product into a crowded market. The old way: endless hours on Google, SpyFu, and social media trying to piece together competitor strategies. It's a mess of spreadsheets, bookmarks, and half-remembered articles. With Perplexity Enterprise Pro, the marketing lead can ask, Analyze the go-to-market strategy of Salesforce's last 3 product launches. What was the core messaging? Which channels did they prioritize for ad spend? And what was the general sentiment from tech journalists in the first month post-launch? The result is a strategic brief with sources delivered instantly. They can then upload their own draft marketing plan and ask, critique this plan based on the successful strategies of our top 3 competitors. Where are the gaps in our messaging? This turns the AI from a simple search tool into a strategic consultant. Now think about your legal department. They need to understand the implications of a new data privacy law in California. Instead of billing hours for a paralegal to read through hundreds of pages of dense legal text, they can upload the entire bill. They can ask, summarize the key compliance requirements for a B2B SaaS company outlined in this legislation, and highlight any clauses that conflict with our current terms of service, which they can also upload. Perplexity doesn't give legal advice, let's be clear about that, but it acts as the most powerful paralegal on the planet. It extracts the signal from the noise, allowing your expensive human experts to focus on interpretation and strategy, not tedious discovery. This is about leverage. It's about amplifying the intelligence you already have on your payroll. And this is where the Enterprise Pro part becomes absolutely critical, especially for American corporations concerned with security and intellectual property. Every query your team makes, every document they upload, at Apex Dynamics their proprietary research on composite materials, at the software company their secret marketing launch plan is protected. It's not used to train public models. Perplexity Enterprise Pro is SOC2 compliant, meaning it meets rigorous third-party audited standards for security, availability, and confidentiality. Your data is your data. This isn't just a feature. It is the foundation of trust upon which this entire corporate revolution is built. You're getting the power of a cutting-edge AI without exposing your company's crown jewels to the open internet. For any C-suite executive, that's not a nice-to-have, it's a deal-breaker. The collaborative aspect of collections transforms how teams work. It breaks down the silos that plague almost every large organization. The sales team can have a collection for a major client, containing all the research on that client's industry, their latest earnings calls, and key executive changes. When a new sales rep joins the team, they aren't handed a stack of old PowerPoints. They're given access to a living, breathing repository of intelligence. The finance team can use a collection to track economic indicators, analyze Federal Reserve meeting minutes, and monitor market trends, all in one place, creating a single source of truth for their forecasting models. This creates a powerful network effect within the company. The more your teams use it, the more valuable it becomes. The knowledge is no longer trapped in individual inboxes or forgotten folders on a server. It's organized, searchable, and actionable. It becomes a collective intelligence and external brain for your entire organization. And the cost? When you calculate the man-hours saved, the reduction in subscription costs for multiple niche research tools, and the sheer acceleration of your decision-making, the return on investment becomes startlingly clear. Think about that junior engineer in Ohio. Let's say he makes $60,000 a year. The company just reclaimed a month of his time. That's $5,000 of salary, but the real value is in the opportunity cost. That's a month they got back to out-innovate their competition. How much is that worth? How much is it worth to have your marketing messages land perfectly on day one because they were based on real-time data, not last quarter's assumptions? How much is it worth to avoid a compliance fine because your legal team spotted a risk in minutes instead of weeks? This isn't about replacing people. It's about augmenting them. It's about taking your smartest, most creative, most expensive employees and freeing them from the 80% of their job that is low-value information retrieval, so they can dedicate their full brainpower to the 20% that truly drives the business forward. The strategy, the creativity, the human connection. It's a force multiplier for human intellect. So the productivity gains are clear, the workflows are transformed, and the security is enterprise-grade. Sounds almost too good to be true. But how does this stack up, feature for feature, against the other giants in the space? How does a company decide between Perplexity Enterprise Pro and the elephant in the room? ChatGPT Enterprise, backed by the colossal power of Microsoft. That's where the battle for the corporate desktop truly begins. Let's break this down feature by feature, because when you're signing a 5- or 6-figure check for an AI tool, the details are everything. This isn't about which one is cooler. It's about which one drives tangible results and doesn't get your company sued. First, let's talk about the core function: finding information. This is Perplexity's home turf. It was built from the ground up not as a chatbot, but as an answer engine. That distinction is critical. When a financial analyst at your company asks, "What are the Q3 revenue forecasts for our top 3 competitors?" They don't want a beautifully written, confident-sounding paragraph that might be true. They need numbers, sources, and links to the SEC filings or analyst reports where that information came from. This is where Perplexity shines. It's designed for verifiable accuracy. Its citations aren't an afterthought. They're the entire point. It shows its work. For any role that relies on factual, up-to-the-minute, and defensible information, legal, R&D, market research, finance, this is a game changer. It collapses the time-consuming cycle of searching, clicking through 10 blue links, synthesizing information, and then double-checking your sources. ChatGPT Enterprise, powered by GPT-4 and beyond, is an absolute powerhouse of synthesis and generation. But its relationship with the live internet is different. While it can browse, its fundamental architecture is a large language model. Its primary goal is to predict the next most likely word to create a coherent, human-like response. It can give you a fantastic summary of competitor strategies, but it might blend information from last year with a blog post from 2 years ago without explicitly telling you. The risk of hallucination, the AI confidently stating something that is completely false, is inherently higher. For a creative brainstorming session, that's a feature, not a bug. For a compliance department, it's a nightmare. Microsoft is working tirelessly to ground it with Bing Search, but the DNA is different. Perplexity starts with the search results and builds the answer. ChatGPT often starts with the answer, and then tries to find sources to back it up. It's a subtle but profound difference in approach. Now let's flip the script and talk about content creation. This has traditionally been OpenAI's kingdom. You need to draft a press release, write a Python script to automate a report, or generate 50 subject lines for a marketing email. ChatGPT is a master of this blank canvas work. It has an almost uncanny ability to adopt a persona, understand nuanced instructions, and produce high-quality creative and technical text. It's the ultimate creative partner, the tireless intern who never needs a coffee break. So, can Perplexity Enterprise Pro compete? This is where many people get it wrong. They see Answer Engine and think it can't write. But inside Perplexity, you have the option to use the best models on the market, including GPT-4 and Claude 3 Opus. You can switch its mode from search to writing. The key difference is the workflow. With ChatGPT, you might start with, "Write me a blog post about the future of renewable energy." With Perplexity, a better workflow would be to first ask, "What are the latest breakthroughs and market trends in renewable energy in 2024? It will return a sourced, factual summary. Then you can follow up with, "Based on these sources, write a 1,000-word blog post for a non-technical audience." It's a research-then-write process baked into a single interface. It produces content that is not only well-written, but also factually grounded from the start. It's less about pure blue-sky creativity and more about informed, authoritative content creation. Then comes the billion-dollar question: security and data privacy. This is the ultimate deal-breaker for any serious American company. Both Perplexity Enterprise Pro and ChatGPT Enterprise make the same core promise. Your data is your data. They are SOC2 compliant, they offer robust encryption, and crucially, they pledge that your company's conversations and uploaded documents will never be used to train their public models. This is table stakes. If they didn't offer this, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But the devil is in the details and the ecosystem. ChatGPT Enterprise lives under the umbrella of Microsoft Azure. For the thousands of companies already running on the Microsoft stack, Office 365, Teams, Azure Cloud Services, this is an incredibly compelling proposition. The integration is seamless. The security protocols are familiar to your IT department. It plugs right into your existing single sign-on and data governance frameworks. Choosing ChatGPT Enterprise can feel like the safe, logical extension of a tech stack you've already invested millions in. It's the incumbent's advantage, and it is massive. Perplexity, on the other hand, is the independent specialist. They don't have a sprawling software empire to integrate with. Their selling point is a focused, best-in-class tool that does one thing exceptionally well. Their security model is built for the modern, cloud-native enterprise. For a company that is wary of being locked too deeply into a single vendor's ecosystem, or for one that prioritizes a dedicated, purpose-built tool over an integrated suite, Perplexity's independence is a feature, not a bug. They offer tenant-level data segregation and a clean, straightforward security promise without the complexity of a massive corporate parent. This leads us to the final battleground, the ecosystem and workflow integration. This is where Microsoft unleashes its ultimate weapon, Copilot. ChatGPT Enterprise isn't just a standalone web portal. It's the engine behind the AI features being embedded into every single Microsoft product. It's in Word, helping you write reports. It's in Excel, analyzing your data. It's in Teams, summarizing your meetings. It's in Outlook, drafting your emails. Microsoft isn't selling a tool. It's selling an AI-infused environment. For an employee, the convenience is undeniable. You don't have to switch contexts or open a new tab. The AI is just there. This deeply integrated approach is aimed at boosting productivity across every existing workflow. How can a startup like Perplexity possibly compete with that? They don't try to, at least not on the same terms. Perplexity's strategy is about being a powerful, flexible component that can be integrated where it matters most, primarily through its API. It's not trying to live in your email client. It's designed to be the new starting point for any task that requires knowledge. Instead of embedding itself in every app, it aims to replace the very first step of many workflows, the Google search. Furthermore, its collections feature allows teams to curate and share sets of research, turning the tool into a collaborative knowledge base. And its ability to upload and analyze documents, like a 200-page PDF of a new federal regulation, and answer specific questions with citations to the page number is an incredibly powerful, focused workflow for legal, compliance, and research teams. So the choice becomes a philosophical one about the nature of work itself. Do you want an AI that assists you in the tools you already use, making existing processes faster? That's the Microsoft vision. Or do you want an AI that fundamentally changes how you start your work, prioritizing verifiable truth and deep research before the creation process even begins? That's the Perplexity proposition. One is a broad, powerful productivity enhancer. The other is a sharp, precise knowledge accelerator. The decision isn't about which tool is better in a vacuum, but about which philosophy best aligns with your company's most critical needs and biggest pain points. Are you trying to solve an efficiency problem or a truth problem? So we've seen the head-to-head. But what does this look like in the real world, beyond the feature lists and marketing promises? I spoke to 3 different American companies, a boutique law firm in Chicago, a fast-growing biotech startup in Boston, and a major digital marketing agency in Los Angeles that have deployed these tools. Their results, the surprising pitfalls they encountered, and the clear winner that emerged for each of their unique use cases will change how you think about enterprise AI forever. Let's start with Innovate Health, a mid-sized biotech firm out of Boston. Their problem is one that cripples R&D in the most advanced fields: information overload. Their brilliant scientists were spending nearly a third of their time, not in the lab, but buried in a mountain of academic journals, clinical trial data, and patent filings. They were playing catch-up, trying to sip from a fire hose of new information. Their goal wasn't just to find information faster. It was to synthesize it, to connect the dots between a study published in Germany and a patent filed in Japan, to find that one elusive breadcrumb that could lead to a breakthrough. It was a race against time and they were losing. So they ran a head-to-head trial. They split their lead research team into 2. Team A got Perplexity Enterprise Pro. Team B got ChatGPT Enterprise. The mandate was simple. Who could accelerate the discovery process an entire quarter? The results from Team A, the Perplexity team, came back in weeks, not months. And they were staggering. This wasn't just an improvement, it was a paradigm shift. The killer feature, the one that had their PhDs literally cheering in the conference room, was the citations. When a researcher asked a complex question like, summarize the latest findings on CRISPR-Cas9 efficacy for treating beta thalassemia, citing only peer-reviewed studies from the last 18 months, Perplexity didn't just give an answer. It gave a fully synthesized report, with every key point footnoted, linking directly to the precise paragraph in the source PDF. This was the holy grail. It eliminated the soul-crushing work of verification. They could trust the information because they could see exactly where it came from in a single click. They started using the focus feature to zero in on academic papers or specific clinical trial databases, filtering out all the noise of the internet. By their own conservative estimates, Perplexity cut their preliminary literature review time by 70%. 7-0. That's not an incremental gain, that's a competitive advantage measured in years. Now what about Team B with ChatGPT Enterprise? They found it to be an incredible creative partner. It was brilliant for brainstorming. They could ask it, Imagine a novel delivery mechanism for mRNA vaccines that circumvents cold chain storage, and it would spin out fascinating speculative ideas that spark new avenues of thought. It was also fantastic at summarizing a single 50-page paper they uploaded. But when it came to their core task, conducting a broad, verifiable survey of existing research, it fell short. It would often provide beautifully written summaries that were incomplete. Or worse, it would hallucinate citations, referencing papers that didn't exist or misattributing findings. For a field where a single decimal point can be the difference between a breakthrough and a disaster, this lack of verifiable accuracy was a non-starter. The surprising pitfall wasn't that ChatGPT was bad. It was that it was seductively plausible. Its confident, well-written answers gave a false sense of security that required their top scientists to waste precious time acting as fact-checkers. For Innovate Health, the verdict was clear and unanimous. Perplexity Enterprise Pro wasn't just the winner. It was the only viable option. It aligned with the fundamental ethos of the scientific method. Show your work. Next, let's fly to the heartland to Ohio and meet Midwest Manufacturing. This is a company with 100 years of history and 100 years of documents to go with it. Their challenge was internal. They had machine manuals from the 1980s, safety protocols in faded PDFs, maintenance logs in forgotten spreadsheets, and operational guides written by engineers who had long since retired. This legacy knowledge was their most valuable asset, and it was locked away, inaccessible. When a critical piece of machinery went down on the factory floor, an engineer might have to spend hours, sometimes days, digging through file cabinets or a chaotic shared drive to find the right schematic. Their mission? Create a single source of truth, an internal brain that any employee could query to get an instant, accurate answer. They uploaded their entire library of proprietary data, tens of thousands of documents, into secure instances of both Perplexity Enterprise Pro and ChatGPT Team. The results were fascinating. Perplexity, again, shone in its directness and accuracy. An engineer could walk up to a terminal and type, "What is the specified torque for the main bearing on the G7 assembly line? And what are the lubrication intervals?" Perplexity would scan their uploaded manuals and deliver the answer. The specified torque is 250 foot-pounds, as stated on page 47 of the G7 maintenance manual, document 4B. Lubrication is required every 500 operational hours. It provided the answer and the proof. It was a revolution for their maintenance and training teams. ChatGPT Team was also incredibly powerful. Its conversational skill was a huge plus. An engineer could ask the same question and then follow up with, "Okay, now explain the lubrication process to me like I'm a brand new apprentice." ChatGPT would recontextualize the information beautifully, making it more accessible. It was a fantastic teaching tool. But here's where the surprising pitfall emerged for ChatGPT, and it's a crucial one for any industry dealing with safety and liability. When ChatGPT couldn't find a direct answer in the provided documents, it would sometimes try to infer one. It would synthesize information from several related manuals and construct a logical-sounding procedure. In a creative field, that's a feature. In a manufacturing plant, it's a catastrophic bug. You don't want an AI's best guess on how to service a 10-ton hydraulic press. You need the exact procedure written by the original engineer. The risk of an inferred but incorrect instruction was simply too high. Perplexity, by contrast, would simply state that it couldn't find the information in the provided sources if it wasn't there. It wouldn't guess. For Midwest Manufacturing, that distinction was everything. The winner, by a margin of safety and trust, was Perplexity Enterprise Pro. It respected the sanctity of their source material, acting as a perfect librarian, not a creative author. Finally, let's head to the West Coast, to Vivid Digital, a lightning-fast digital marketing agency in Los Angeles. Their world is the polar opposite of Midwest Manufacturing. They don't care about 100-year-old manuals. They care about what trend is going to pop on TikTok in the next 100 minutes. Their currency is creativity, volume, and speed. They need to generate ad copy, social media posts, blog ideas, and video scripts on a massive scale every single day. They took a different approach. They didn't pit the tools against each other for the same task. They assigned them to the teams where they thought they'd fit best. The analytics and strategy team got Perplexity Pro. The creative and content team got ChatGPT Team. The strategy team fell in love with Perplexity. They treated it like the world's most powerful research intern. They could ask, "What are the top 3 messaging angles used by challenger beverage brands on Instagram Reels in the last quarter?" and get a real, data-backed answer with links to the actual campaigns. It was their source for truth, helping them ground their creative briefs in reality. It stopped them from making assumptions and started them with data. Meanwhile, the creative team's floor became a constant hum of ChatGPT activity. It was their tireless brainstorming partner. Give me 20 taglines for a new energy drink aimed at gamers. Make them witty and slightly aggressive. Boom, a list appears. Now take the top 3 and write a 30-second video script for each. Done. Now write a blog post about the history of caffeine in 500 words. Optimized for the keyword, natural energy. It was a content generation machine. They created custom GPTs trained on their agency's unique voice and style, allowing even junior writers to produce on-brand first drafts at an incredible speed. Its creative flexibility and ability to adopt different personas was something Perplexity simply couldn't touch. The pitfalls became obvious when they tried to switch. When the creative team tried to use Perplexity for brainstorming, they found it too literal, too factual. It was an expert at telling you what has worked but not at imagining what could work. And when the strategy team tried to use ChatGPT for market research, they hit the same wall as the biotech firm. Unreliable data and a lack of sources. They wasted more time verifying its claims than it would have taken to find the information themselves. So who was the winner at Vivid Digital? Neither. Or rather, both. The agency made the decision to subscribe to both platforms. Perplexity Enterprise Pro for the strategists, the researchers, the truth seekers. ChatGPT team for the creators, the writers, the dreamers. The ultimate solution for them wasn't a single tool, but an AI stack. The combination of Perplexity's grounded, verifiable intelligence and ChatGPT's boundless creative engine was the true competitive advantage. But this concept of an AI stack isn't just for the marketing department. It's a strategic framework for the entire American enterprise. Think of it like a toolkit. You wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, and you shouldn't use a purely creative AI for a task that demands absolute, verifiable truth. This distinction is becoming the new dividing line between companies that merely use AI and those that master it. To understand this, let's leave the world of vibrant ad campaigns and step into the hushed, mahogany-paneled offices of a different kind of American business. A place where a single misplaced comma can have million-dollar consequences. Let's talk about a mid-sized corporate law firm. We'll call them Sterling and Vance. For 100 years, Sterling and Vance built its reputation on meticulous, painstaking work. But in the 21st century, that meticulousness was becoming a liability. Their junior associates, the brightest minds from the best law schools, were spending up to 70% of their time not on brilliant legal strategy but on drudgery. They were drowning in discovery documents, manually sifting through tens of thousands of pages of emails and depositions, looking for a single keyword. They were spending countless non-billable hours in the firm's cavernous library, or with a dozen browser tabs open cross-referencing case law, trying to find a precedent that might support their argument. The burnout rate was staggering. More importantly, their clients were starting to balk at the cost. They were paying top dollar for associates to act as human search engines. The firm had tried AI before. They'd invested in specialized legal tech platforms that promised to streamline research, but they were clunky, expensive, and the information was often outdated. They'd cautiously experimented with large language models like ChatGPT, but the partners were terrified of hallucinations. In marketing, a creative AI making up a catchy but fictional slogan is harmless. In law, an AI inventing a legal precedent or misquoting a statute isn't just an error. It's grounds for a malpractice lawsuit. The risk was simply too high. The firm was stuck between the inefficiency of the past and the unreliability of the future. Then, the firm's chief technology officer, a forward-thinking partner named Maria, discovered Perplexity Enterprise Pro. She wasn't just looking for another tool. She was looking for a foundational shift in how they handled information. The first thing that caught her eye wasn't the powerful search but the security. SOC2 Compliance, a zero-data retention policy, guaranteeing that their confidential client queries would never be used to train any models. For a law firm, this wasn't just a feature. It was a prerequisite. It was the key that unlocked the door. Maria decided to run a pilot program with the most overworked and skeptical team in the firm, the first-year litigation associates. She didn't give them a long training manual. She gave them a single complex task. A new client was being sued, and the discovery phase had just produced a 40,000-page data dump. In the old days, this would mean a month of misery for 3 associates. Maria uploaded the entire data dump, all 40,000 pages, into a secure collection within Perplexity Enterprise Pro. She then sat down with a young associate named Ben. Ben was brilliant, but he was exhausted, already questioning his career choice. Maria told him to ask the collection a simple question. Summarize all communications from the plaintiff, Sarah Jenkins, that mention Project Titan between June 1st and August 31st, and cite the specific document and page number for each instance. Ben typed it in, expecting the system to buffer, to crash, or to return a jumbled mess. Seconds later, the answer appeared. It was a perfectly concise, bullet-pointed summary, and next to every single bullet point was a small, clickable number. Ben clicked on the first one. It didn't take him to a generic search result. It took him directly to page 7,342 of the uploaded documents, highlighting the exact sentence he needed. He clicked the next one, page 12,115. The next, page 28,409. It was flawless. What would have taken him 3 days of mind-numbing manual searching, he had accomplished in less than 30 seconds. For the first time in months, Ben looked up from his screen and smiled. This was the paradigm shift. Perplexity wasn't just giving them answers, it was giving them evidence. The citations were the killer application. It transformed the AI from a clever but untrustworthy assistant into a diligent, hyper-efficient paralegal, whose work was instantly verifiable. The team started using it for everything. Instead of spending days researching case law, they could ask, what are the key legal precedents in the Ninth Circuit regarding intellectual property rights for software developed by a contractor? They'd get a synthesized analysis, with every point directly linked to the actual court ruling. They could follow the citations, read the source material themselves, and build their legal strategy on a foundation of verifiable truth, not a black box algorithm's best guess. Ben was no longer just a document reviewer. He was a legal strategist. He used Perplexity to analyze opposing counsel's past filings, identifying patterns in their arguments. He used it to draft initial memos and discovery requests in a fraction of the time, freeing him up to participate in client meetings and deposition strategy sessions. He was doing the work he went to law school for. The firm's efficiency didn't just improve, it transformed. They could build stronger cases faster. They could offer more competitive billing structures to their clients. And their retention of top young talent skyrocketed. Sterling and Vance didn't abandon their other tools. Their marketing team still used ChatGPT to brainstorm blog post ideas about complex legal topics in plain English. Their finance department used a specialized AI to analyze billing data. But Perplexity Enterprise Pro became the firm's central nervous system. It was the secure, trusted layer where all high-stakes knowledge work began. It was their single source of truth. And this story isn't unique to law. This is the story of every knowledge-based industry in America. It's the financial analyst at a Wall Street bank who needs to research a company's financial health, where a single incorrect data point in her model could lead to a catastrophic trade. It's the pharmaceutical researcher who needs to synthesize 20 years of clinical trial data, where missing a single contraindication could have life or death consequences. It's the senior consultant at a major firm preparing a market entry strategy for a client, where a recommendation based on a hallucinated market trend could cost that client hundreds of millions of dollars. For these American companies, the most valuable currency isn't just information. It's trusted, verifiable information. The greatest risk isn't falling behind on AI adoption. It's adopting the wrong kind of AI for the wrong task. It's building your house on a foundation of algorithmic sand. Perplexity Enterprise Pro addresses this head-on by providing a secure, auditable, and incredibly powerful engine for truth. It solves the technical problem of trust. But this leads to an even bigger, more complex challenge. Having the best tool in the world is useless if your team doesn't know how or why to use it. The technology, as we've seen, is revolutionary. But the biggest barrier to unlocking its potential isn't in the code. It's in our culture. It's in the ingrained habits of a workforce trained for decades to work in a completely different way. How do you convince a senior partner who still prefers paper memos, or a factory manager who trusts their gut over a data model, to embrace this new reality? The ultimate question isn't just, is this the best tool? It's how do we get our people to actually use it to win? And that is the billion-dollar question. Because the most powerful tool in the world is worthless if it just sits on a digital shelf, collecting digital dust. The graveyard of American enterprise is littered with the ghosts of game-changing software that no one ever actually used. We've all seen it. The multi-million-dollar CRM that becomes a glorified, clunky address book. the collaboration suite that everyone ignores in favor of email, and a shared spreadsheet. The failure isn't in the code, it's in the culture. It's in the human wiring. So, how does Perplexity Enterprise Pro plan to avoid this fate? How does it crack the code of human adoption? The answer, I believe, lies in a three-pronged strategy that is as much about psychology as it is about technology. It's about making the tool not just useful but irresistible. First, and most critically, is the principle of painless integration. Perplexity isn't trying to force your team to learn a whole new, complex ecosystem. It's not another platform with 100 buttons and a week-long training seminar. Think about the tools your team already lives in. Slack, Microsoft Teams, your internal knowledge base. Perplexity's strategy is to meet them where they are. By integrating directly into these existing workflows, it doesn't present itself as a new task to be learned, but as an upgrade to the tasks they already perform. Imagine a sales team in a Slack channel discussing a major client. Instead of someone having to open a browser, search for the latest news on that client's industry, find their quarterly report, and paste links back into the channel, they can just type, "At Perplexity, give me a one-page briefing on the top 3 challenges facing the logistics industry and how our competitor, Acme Corp, is addressing them, cite your sources." The answer appears right there, in the flow of conversation. It's not a disruption, it's an acceleration. It removes friction. Human beings are like water. We follow the path of least resistance. By making the smartest path also the easiest path, Perplexity fundamentally rewires the incentive structure for seeking information. The old way of doing things suddenly feels slow, tedious, and inefficient. That's how you drive organic adoption. The second prong of the strategy is what I call the Lighthouse Project. You don't roll this out to 20,000 employees on day one. That's a recipe for chaos, confusion, and resistance. Instead, you pick one team. One high-impact, measurable, and visible team. Maybe it's your market research division, your business development unit, or your R&D department. You give them Perplexity Enterprise Pro and a clear mission. For the market research team, the mission is, we need you to map the entire competitive landscape for our new product line in 1 week, a task that used to take a full quarter. For the R&D team, summarize all relevant academic papers and patents on carbon nanotube manufacturing published in the last 18 months by Friday. You give them an impossible task and a superpower to achieve it. And when they succeed, when that market research team presents a stunningly comprehensive report that leaves leadership speechless, or the R&D team identifies a breakthrough that leapfrogs a competitor, they don't just become users. They become evangelists. They become the lighthouse. Their success is a brilliant, undeniable signal to the rest of the organization. Other departments see it and the conversation shifts from "do I have to use this?" to "when do we get to use this?" You're not pushing a tool onto them. You're creating a pull. You're manufacturing internal demand. This creates a virtuous cycle of success stories, building momentum until the adoption feels less like a corporate mandate and more like a grassroots movement. The third and perhaps most subtle prong is building a culture of inquiry. This is the long game. This is about fundamentally changing how your company thinks. Right now, in most organizations, asking a deep, complex question is a high-effort activity. It involves scheduling meetings, assigning research tasks, and waiting for answers. There's a built-in latency to curiosity. Perplexity aims to reduce the cost of curiosity to near zero. When anyone, from a junior analyst to the CEO, can ask a sophisticated, multi-layered question and get a trusted, cited answer in seconds, it changes behavior. It encourages a different kind of thinking. Meetings become more productive because people come prepared with a baseline of shared, verified knowledge. Instead of arguing about what the facts are, you can spend your time debating what to do about the facts. This is where leadership is non-negotiable. The C-suite can't just buy the license, they have to model the behavior. Imagine a CEO kicking off a strategy session not with a slide deck prepared by their team over 3 weeks, but by saying, "This morning, I asked Perplexity to analyze the sentiment of our top 10 enterprise customers based on their recent earnings calls and public statements. It flagged a potential risk in our supply chain that I want to discuss." That single act does more to drive adoption than 1,000 internal marketing emails. It demonstrates that this isn't just a tool for the rank and file to be more efficient. It's a tool for leadership to be more intelligent. It becomes the new standard for being prepared. It elevates the entire organization's IQ. And underpinning all of this is the bedrock of security and trust we've discussed. That SOC2 compliance, the promise of data privacy, the single sign-on, these aren't just IT checklist items. They are the psychological safety net that allows your people to use the tool for what truly matters. An employee won't ask about a sensitive internal M&A target or a confidential product formula if they think their query is being fed into a global model. But with Enterprise Pro, they have a secure, sandboxed environment. This unlocks the highest value use cases, the ones that deal with the proprietary secret sauce information that truly drives a business forward. Without that trust, you only get surface-level adoption. With it, you get deep, meaningful integration into the core of your business. So, the adoption strategy isn't just a training manual. It's a calculated campaign to make resistance to the tool feel illogical. It's about seamlessly integrating into existing workflows, creating undeniable showcases of success, fostering a culture where deep questions are encouraged and instantly rewarded, and building it all on a foundation of enterprise-grade trust. This approach transforms Perplexity from being just another AI tool into a potential catalyst for cultural change. It's not about replacing human thought, but about augmenting it at scale. It's about creating an entire organization that can learn faster, pivot smarter, and make decisions with a level of clarity and speed that was previously unimaginable. Now we've explored the power, the security, and the strategy for making it a part of your company's DNA. We've seen how it stacks up on features and how it plans to win the hearts and minds of your employees. But the final piece of the puzzle remains. In a world where Microsoft is embedding Copilot into the very fabric of Office and Google is weaving its AI into every search and cloud product, is Perplexity's focused, best-in-class answer engine enough? Can the specialized sniper rifle truly compete with the invading army's machine gun? We need to make the final call. Is this the right strategic investment for an American company right now? Or is it a beautiful but ultimately niche player in a war that will be won by giants? The truth is, it depends entirely on what you're trying to hit. Asking if a sniper rifle is better than a machine gun is the wrong question. The right question is, what's the mission? Are you defending a fixed position against an overwhelming force? Or are you executing a high-value precision strike deep behind enemy lines? This is the lens through which every American C-suite, every department head, every team lead needs to view Perplexity Enterprise Pro. It's not a tool, it's a strategic capability. So let's draw the battle lines. For whom is this a non-negotiable, immediate investment? Who is the precision strike team that needs this rifle? First, any organization with a dedicated research and development arm. I'm talking about biotech, pharmaceuticals, aerospace, materials science, and high-tech engineering. For these teams, the cost of not having the most accurate, up-to-date, and verifiable information is catastrophic. A single missed patent, a misinterpreted clinical trial result, or an overlooked research paper can cost millions, if not billions, in wasted development. For them, Perplexity Enterprise Pro isn't a line item under software. It's a line item under risk mitigation and competitive intelligence. The ability to upload proprietary data, cross-reference it with the entire public web in real time, and get cited verifiable answers is the digital equivalent of having a Nobel laureate on retainer. The $100,000 a year analyst who spends weeks compiling a report can now do it in days, or even hours, and the quality of that report will be higher. The ROI isn't just positive, it's exponential. For these companies, sticking with a general-purpose AI is like sending a surgeon into the operating room with a Swiss Army knife. It might work, but why would you ever take that risk? Second, legal and compliance departments. The legal field runs on precedent, on citations, on the precise interpretation of text. The hallucination problem of general models isn't just an annoyance, it's malpractice waiting to happen. Perplexity's core architecture, built on citation and accuracy, is tailor-made for this world. Imagine uploading thousands of pages of discovery documents, a new piece of federal legislation, and your company's internal compliance policies into a secure space. Then asking, based on the new SEC Rule 10b-5, identify all clauses in our Q3 shareholder communications that could be interpreted as forward-looking statements and cross-reference them with our internal risk assessments. That's not a search query. That's a superpower. It transforms a team of paralegals from document hunters into strategic advisors. The cost of the license is a rounding error compared to the cost of a single compliance failure or a lost lawsuit. Third, high-end strategy consulting, financial analysis, and market intelligence firms. Their entire product is insight. Their currency is the quality of their information. When a client is paying a premium for a market analysis, they expect rigor. They expect data. Perplexity Enterprise Pro allows these firms to synthesize vast amounts of information, market reports, earnings calls, economic data, news, and find the signal in the noise faster than any competitor. The focus feature alone, allowing them to search only academic papers or financial reports, is a game changer. It weaponizes information. For these elite knowledge workers, Perplexity is the sniper rifle. It's not for everyone on the battlefield, but in the hands of a trained expert, it decides the outcome. Now, for the other side of the coin, who should hold their fire? For whom is Perplexity the beautiful, expensive rifle they just don't need right now? This is the vast majority of American businesses. The companies whose daily operations live and die inside Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. I'm talking about sales teams, marketing departments, HR, operations, and general administration. Their war isn't one of precision strikes. It's a war of attrition. It's about volume, collaboration, and integration. For these teams, the native AI tools being woven directly into their existing workflows are the machine guns. Microsoft Copilot in Teams, Outlook, and Excel isn't just an AI tool. It's becoming the very fabric of how work gets done. It can summarize the meeting you just missed, draft an email reply based on a Word document, and create a slide deck from a spreadsheet, all without you ever leaving the ecosystem you already pay for and are trained on. Google is doing the same with Gemini in Docs, Sheets, and Gmail. To ask a sales team to stop their workflow, open a separate browser tab, log into Perplexity, and run a query is to introduce friction. It's a disruption. The machine gun's power isn't its accuracy on a single shot. It's the seamless, overwhelming volume of fire it can lay down across the entire field. For these companies, the marginal gain in search accuracy from Perplexity is completely overshadowed by the massive productivity loss of leaving their integrated, collaborative ecosystem. The AI that's 80% as good but 100% integrated will win every single time for the general workforce. Their mission is to hold the line, to answer emails, to create documents, to manage projects. And for that, the native built-in machine gun is the superior weapon. So, this brings us to the final critical insight. The mistake isn't choosing the rifle over the machine gun, or vice versa. The fatal mistake is thinking you only get to choose one. The smartest, most dominant American companies of the next decade will not be Perplexity companies, or Microsoft companies, or Google companies. They will be AI portfolio companies. They will equip their specialists, their R&D labs, their legal teams, their strategists, with the best-in-class precision tools like Perplexity Enterprise Pro. They will pay the premium because the cost of being wrong is too high. And at the same time, they will arm their generalist army, their sales, marketing, and operations teams, with the fully integrated, good enough AI of their chosen ecosystem, whether it's Microsoft or Google. The war for AI dominance isn't a single battle. It's a multi-front campaign. You need different tools for different tasks. You need a sniper for the high-value target and a machine gun for suppressive fire. The CIOs and CTOs who understand this, who see AI not as a monolithic purchase, but as a strategic allocation of specialized capabilities, are the ones who will build an insurmountable competitive advantage. They won't ask, which AI tool is best? They will ask, which AI capabilities do we need for each specific business function, and who provides the best-in-class solution for that function? So, is Perplexity Enterprise Pro the best AI tool for American companies? For the right teams with the right mission, it is not just the best, it is the only choice. It's a category-defining tool for professional, high-stakes research and analysis. But for the broader organization, the answer is a clear no. The gravitational pull of the integrated ecosystems is simply too strong to ignore. The final verdict is this: Perplexity is not the tool that will replace Google or Microsoft for the average employee. It was never meant to be. It is the specialized, professional-grade instrument that will give your most critical knowledge workers an unfair advantage. It's the scalpel in a world of hammers. And in the high-stakes game of American enterprise, having the right tool for the most critical job is how you not only survive the war but define the terms of victory. The real question isn't whether you can afford it. It's whether you can afford for your competition to have it when you don't.